over. What's going on, guys? What's up? We got Hashim 47, of course, my man. Thank you so much, brother, for coming in here. Being the first again, as always, to comment on the Boxing Fanatico Live episode. We are at episode 11, where we talk about in real life boxing. We got YouTube Boxing 6007 in here early today. What's going on, brother? What's going on? So we're gonna talk about this. Jake Paul, right? We're gonna talk about this Jake Paul versus. And yes, of course, smash the like if you haven't already. Smash the like, guys. But we're gonna talk about this Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz fight. What do you guys think is gonna happen in the fight? Do you guys think that Jake Paul will win, or do you think that Nate Diaz could pull off a victory against Jake Paul? Now, the press conference was wild. I mean, bizarre, super bizarre, weird, crazy, wacky, funny. I mean, there was comedic relief. There was so many different things happening in that press conference. And I think that maybe because the press conference was so wacky, it may have brought more attention to the fight than it already had. I think it may have brought more attention to the fight than it already had because it was just a wacky press conference. I mean, at one point, Nate Diaz needed to go to the bathroom during the press conference, so he got up and went to the bathroom during the press conference. I mean, that's stuff that you got to do pre the press conference. You got to make sure you go to the restroom, get everything situated before you go. But I think this is also part of Nate Diaz's like kind of mind games to show how much he doesn't care about Jake Paul. And I think that all of that stuff is kind of like little subtle, kind of like, you're not that big of a deal to me. You're not that important to me. I'm doing this. Like, I'm gonna beat you up, but I'm just getting this paycheck. I'm coming to get this paycheck, but not in the sense that I'm getting a paycheck to take a dive. In the sense that I'm getting a paycheck, and that's the reason that I'm fighting you. But if it wasn't for this paycheck, I would not be fighting you. That's the vibe that I'm getting from Nate Diaz. Let me know if you guys are getting that same kind of vibe, but that's the vibe that I was getting from Nate Diaz. I have Jake Paul via stoppage in the 4th or 5th round. Maybe not a full KO, but maybe a TKO. Wow. Okay. Nate has a lot of scar tissue on his face from the wars he's had in the octagon. So Jake could even win via cuts. Okay, that's possible. Yeah, it's possible. My boy, what? I don't know what that is. What's it use? YC marketing? What's going on, my boy? I don't get it. I don't know what that means. I said Izzy, bro. Laugh out Izzy, boy, bro. What do you mean, Izzy, though? This has nothing to do with. That's Israel Adesanya, right? This fight don't got nothing to do with him. Nate has CTE and was probably high on weed. He did act a little more weird yesterday for sure. LOL. Oh, CTE. I mean, he did come off as a little punch drunk to me. I don't know if he's just like, if that's how he is. I haven't really seen Nate Diaz talk much. I've always seen him in like these candid moments, like he's in the crowd, or there's a fight that breaks out and he's part of it, or he makes somebody spill their drink because he kind of scared them or something. And then, of course, when they're in the octagon, you don't really see them fighting. If you see you don't see them talking when you're seeing them fighting. When you're looking at highlights or something, like I've seen highlights of him beating up, Conor McGregor. Now, one of the arguments that he made, my man said, "No, bro, I'm Israel from Crows." Oh, damn, what's up, bro? What's going on, man? That's throwback. That's my childhood location where I grew up. Crows in the Bronx. Showing love, wanted to get your opinion on this fight. I'm here for Nate. What you think, bro? Well, I'm about to talk about it right now, bro. Welcome to the Boxing Fanatico live stream. That's cool that you're here, bro. I haven't heard from you in a while. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna see. This one is tough for me because normally I think I give Jake the nod when he's fighting MMA fighters, but big but is that Nate Diaz is actually he has a really long boxing history. In terms of him training in the sport. And it is possible that he might have what it takes to give Jake Paul problems. He might have what it takes to give Jake Paul problems. Hold on, let's see. Nate from the McGregor press conferences in 2016 compared to now is a big difference. He's definitely punch drunk. Okay, cool. So he probably punch drunk. That's fine. Sin City, what's up, Fanatico? What's going on, brother? By the way, guys, I already see it coming up. I already see the comments. Can't talk about Undisputed in any way, shape, or form. Contractually, I work with Steel City Interactive. I'm the content manager within that company. I can't talk about it on my platform. Only could talk about it on their socials, on their platform. So don't ask me anything about Undisputed at all, because we just can't talk about it, unfortunately. Sorry. I see that Sin City says that he appreciated the lessons from the tips video. I'm glad you got something positive off of that, brother, but can't talk about Undisputed. I'm sorry, but I'm glad it helped. YouTube Boxing 6007. Nate said he's been boxing since he was 15 and he sparred great boxers like Ward and Regis Prograis. Yeah. No. I know, that's the thing. I think that because of the fact that Nate Diaz has that boxing background, this can be a much more interesting fight than a lot of people think it will be, where they think, oh, this is another MMA fighter that has a good name for Jake to pick off. I think this could be a little bit more deeper than that. A little bit. There might be some adversity that Jake Paul deals with. Now, This is a big deal, because if Jake Paul loses to Nate Diaz, if that is the case, let's say Jake Paul loses to Nate Diaz, that changes a lot of things. That puts a big question mark on Jake Paul's kind of like trajectory, right? He might have to do a rematch with Nate Diaz and clean it up. If he does a rematch and then loses the rematch, that's gonna be weird, right? So there's a big question mark here with Jake Paul fighting Nate Diaz, because at least if he beats him, he could still be the MMA beater, right? He could still be the person who beats up on MMA guys when they come to boxing. Even if they have a boxing background, making it even more of like the thing. Who's gonna be the guy to do it? Like, is Conor McGregor gonna have to come after Nate Diaz? Conor McGregor gave Floyd Mayweather some problems. Is he gonna have to come in and do the work for the MMA community? Those are all things that are possible, right? Those are all things that are possible, but only if Jake Paul beats Nate Diaz. And I don't know if that's an automatic. I truly do not know if that's an automatic. That's fire. Congratulations, King. Thank you so much, Izzy. Thank you so much, brother. K, it's all good. I get it. Okay, it's all good. I get it. That. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Jake on points or even KO. Hard to tell if Diaz is acting like damaged goods. Zoo one. What's going on, brother? I don't know. It's hard to act that way. It's hard to act in the way that Diaz was acting, right? I don't know if that's the thing that you do when you're acting. I think he really is kind of like, unless he took some sort of a substance or something like that, he might just be like kind of punch drunk a little bit when he talks. But I've seen people talk in that way, have like this punch drunk kind of way of talking, but the reflexes and the boxing like ability is still there when they're in the ring, right? Like that was happening to people like James Toney, right? And James Toney was still, he was sound punch drunk, but when he was fighting, he was still dominating, right? So that might not keep him from winning. So I don't want people to put a lot of like stock in the fact that he sounds like that. And maybe that takes away from his performance or something. It definitely 100% can. But I've seen people have those kind of like slur that comes through from combat sports and then still be able to perform very well in the ring. But we're gonna have to see. Nate got a chin. He does. He definitely does have a chin. I'm going for Nate because that's my guy, but Jake is such a wild card. Like the thing with Jake is, I think before Jake fought Ben Askren, it was all about like, yo, Jake, now you really gonna lose. Like right when he was about to fight Ben Askren, a lot of people thought he was gonna lose. I know that it sounds crazy after what happened, since the fight only lasted like, I think it only lasted a round, right? It was crazy that people thought that, but people actually thought that. People thought that Jake was gonna lose because this is the first time he's fighting a legitimate combat athlete. I'm telling you, like, I know it sounds insane. It sounds like Alexa just went off. I know it sounds insane, but it was actually a thing. It was actually the thing that was being floated. Jake is finally fighting not a YouTuber or a basketball player or whatever. He's fighting a combat sports person. Is a wrap for him. He's done now. There's no way he's not that good. And then he destroyed Ben Askren. And when he destroyed Ben Askren in like one round, and then it was like, oh, okay, of course you're gonna beat Ben Askren because he's not known for punching. He's known for wrestling. So then he fights somebody who's known for punching, but then they're like, but he's past his prime. I mean, that's the thing, bro. Like, people are gonna always hit you with those kind of like excuses, right? And then they're gonna have preemptive excuses ready for if you win, and they're gonna have the bullying ready or whatever, the chastising if you lose, right? But if you win it, they still know what to say. Same thing happens with all the people that they want to lose. Same thing happened with Floyd. They had things ready for him. I remember I went to the press conference when he was about to fight Canelo. Press conference and I actually came out in All Access. If you watch the All Access the All Access episode, I think 1 or 2, I'm in the crowd in the front in the press conference. I come out in All Access on Showtime in the front with Mayweather versus Canelo. And I remember very vividly all the people around me, and this was in New York, Times Square. I remember very vividly all the people around me were like, Floyd messed up with this one. Canelo's too big and too good. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose badly. Like, he's gonna probably get knocked out for the first time in his career. I am telling you, that is what people said. After the fact, now you laugh at that stuff because you already know what happened. But before it happened, people literally thought that Floyd made a huge mistake by picking Canelo Alvarez at that time. They thought he made a massive mistake. Like, this is crazy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He didn't make no mistake, man. That was probably, in my opinion, one of the easiest fights he's ever had in his entire career. But that's what people do, right? When they want you to lose. And then what happened? They had the Canelo is too young excuses ready to go. As soon as Floyd lost, those same people that were saying this was he bit off more than he could chew, they was ready to hit him with the, oh yeah, but Canelo, I mean, he's still young, man. He's still learning. That's the reason why you fought him now, because you fought him before he got, like, they're always, this is the thing was crazy with boxing. They're always gonna have it, like, if they don't like you, they don't care, man. If they don't like you, they don't care. They're always going to have something ready for when you lose, which is what they're hoping, and then they're going to have something ready for when you win. And it's always going to be negative. So that's why with these boxers, is like, just do your thing, bro. Sometimes it's just like, just do your thing. Just do what you think you need to do, and hopefully we get amazing fights. But just do what you think you need to do, because you ain't going to ever please all these people, man. You never, some people have an agenda to not ever be pleased by you. Like, not trying to say it in a crazy way, but just, you know what I mean? Like, they don't care for you to to make them happy or make them finally realize that you're doing it. They have an agenda to just go against you. All right, hold on. Let's see. Also, Jake and Nate are closer in size than I thought. Nate looked a little taller than him. Jake probably still weighs much more, but not by much. Yeah. They look pretty close in size. Question on the overall boxing scene. Do you believe that the Paul brothers brought more light to boxing? I saw a chart that shows both Paul fights generated a lot of money. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm of the belief that the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather did 1 million pay-per-view buys, right? And Jake Paul's versus Tommy Fury is doing 750,000 pay-per-view buys. I think they brought an interest into the sport. Now young kids care about boxing, even if they care about like the YouTube boxing scene. That's a gateway to caring about the actual sport itself. And there's bleed over that we're seeing, right? Because Jake Paul was collaborating with Ryan Garcia, then Ryan Garcia, that elevated Ryan Garcia's social proof. Ryan Garcia got a lot of social media followers. Tank has a decent amount of social media followers. They came together, and for the first time in a very long time, two legitimate boxers, not YouTubers or crossovers or anything like that, boxers, the legitimate boxers, did over 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. So I think all of this, the crux of this, or what sparked all of this, was the bleed in from the whole Jake Paul and YouTube boxing and all that stuff coming in and creating an interest in the sport in young people, because young people were not caring about the sport. Boxing was an old man sport. It was only for old heads for a long time. It was the boring old head sport. Now it's not the boring sport. It's the sport that YouTubers do. They don't do MMA, they do boxing, right? So it makes it feel more hip, more cool. So it's hip and cool to watch Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. It's not like, oh, I'm a grandpa because I'm watching a boxing fight. It felt hip, it felt cool. So I 100% do believe that the Paul brothers, Jake Paul more specifically, has shined a brighter light on the sport overall. Contrary to what a lot of people like, because there's a lot of, in the boxing diehard community, there's a lot of gatekeeping or like holding close to the chest, and they don't want like anything to come in, and they want to keep it rigid and like just the thing that they grew up on. But the problem is, if you don't evolve, if there isn't evolution, if there isn't something to gain notoriety or gain attention, the sport will eventually die. And that's literally what happened to HBO boxing. Look at that. That doesn't exist anymore. Who would have thought HBO boxing wouldn't exist, man? That thing was launched in like the 80s or the late 70s. And we had HBO boxing for a long time. And boxing was in such a decline that HBO boxing had to shut down. So it isn't far-fetched to believe that boxing could die if we don't actually, if we don't continue to support it and have it continue to evolve with creative ways of bringing attention to the sport. And this was a perfect thing that brought younger people, and now we have a young audience that cares about the sport. Granted, they might not know much about it, but they at least care about it, and this can create more interest for them to look into it more and look at legitimate boxers as well. Let's see. Nate got a chin, but he tends to get dropped a lot. Might not work too well in boxing. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. He's boxed before. Like he trains in boxing, so it is very possible that that he's all right. He understands what he needs to bring to the table, and that might be enough to beat somebody like a Jake Paul. But we're gonna have to wait and see. We're definitely gonna have to wait and see. Let me see. Yes, definitely punch drunk, but I don't think it affects his fighting IQ. So I agree. Yeah. Gotta take a little bit of my seltzer water. Hold on. This thing makes me burp like crazy though. All right, Zoo. Good point about them still keeping skills even when punch drunk. Yep. Ben Askren fight was such easy work. Very easy work. He barely got touched, actually. At YouTube, I see, bro. I was a fan ever since my boy Boston Fanatics introduced me to it. We used to go to his house to watch all the fights. Yes, I was the guy that was throwing the fight parties. I was the dude that was throwing all the fight parties. I would literally have, how many people would I like get packed into into these fight parties, bro. I think we would have like, I don't know, over like 50, 60 people. Just pack those. Like we would have the downstairs. We would take everything out except like a big screen, like with a projector, and we would have so many heads in there, man. So many heads. It was crazy. It was fun, man. I remember, and it was when it was Mayweather fights. Like you couldn't talk to me, man. Like those were my favorite events, and like yo, man, that's crazy, man. I'm reminiscing on the old school fight parties we used to have. Mayweather schooled Canelo, and people are still salty to this day. Yeah. They still, they said, hey, if Mayweather would have fought him in his prime, it's like, with Mayweather, he never fought anybody when he was supposed to. He fought, they were either too old, or they were too young, or who knows. It was never like just right. There's not a fighter he ever fought that was just right, where everybody's like, he got him perfectly, exactly at the right time right there. That guy right there, he fought him exact. No, it's like, oh, he was past his prime. Oh, he was before his prime. Oh, he was too young. Oh, he was too old. So it doesn't matter. Floyd never fought anybody good. To a lot of people's opinions, he never fought anybody good. Did you hear about Floyd offering Canelo $1 million to fight when Canelo was only 18? I still need to look that up myself. I never heard of that. Because when Canelo was 18, was he that super popular? I don't know. They were building him up on Floyd's undercards. He used to fight on Floyd's undercards, and that's how they was building him up. Just imagine that. We could think back to it. Look how much of a superstar Canelo is, right? But retroactively, in hindsight, those pay-per-views were crazy. We would have Floyd as the main fight, and then Canelo as the undercard. Like it was like almost like having two main events, retroactively speaking, right? If you look back at it, it was like having two major fights in one night. This man's experience in boxing goes back years. Good information on God. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, man. I remember when I predicted Floyd was gonna beat Oscar De La Hoya, and we was at my uncle's house for that one. And everybody thought I was crazy. And then Floyd put the beats on Oscar De La Hoya in that fight. I was like, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? How's it going, Fanatico? Hugh Jakes, yo, smash that like. Yes, sir. We are at 16 people in here. Come on, man. Get the likes up a little bit more than what we got it at 9. Come on, man. We could get it higher than 9. Just hit the like real quick. It's quick. Just bam, press the button. You help the channel right there. I'm not seeing it move up. I'm looking right at it, and it's not moving up right now. So clearly, you guys don't care. I'm not trying to hit the like. I see ya. All right, whatever. Let's go. Canelo was arguably easier for Floyd than Conor was. Yeah. I mean, okay, now I see it going up. Now y'all doing your thing. Cool. Yeah. He was, I mean, the performance-wise, right? We don't know the things that Mayweather had to do. Maybe sometimes Mayweather's just playing. He's fighting Conor at a level 2, right? He's like, I'm going to fight you at a level 2. I'm not even going to worry about it. You could tag me a little bit. It's all right. He might have been doing that, right? We don't know. But on a surface level, in terms of watching it from the outside looking in, he barely got touched by Canelo. He barely got touched by Canelo. I don't even remember him getting hit by Canelo at all, even though I know he had to have gotten hit. But I just don't remember it. It's not in my memory. And I actually went to that fight. That's the Mayweather fight that I went to. Floyd versus Canelo. I was at the MGM Grand for that fight, and it was amazing. The whole experience, the weigh-in, everything, the entire week, amazing. Sub Fanatico, Paul got Serrano paid. Got my respect for that. Yeah, 100%. He brought Amanda Serrano into the spotlight, and because of that bled into women's boxing too. And now look where women's boxing is. We got Alicia Baumgartner getting high praise, Michaela Mayer, Clarissa Shields. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Katie Taylor. It's crazy now, and all because boxing is becoming hip and cool. And it's hip and cool because what does it take to make something hip and cool? The young people gotta like it. When the young people like it, that's when it's hip and cool. Now boxing is hip and cool. Exactly. Oh, I think we're a little bit delayed, but I'm gonna catch up. You doing a lot for the Loma fight like you did for the Tank fight? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I might want to watch this one sitting back, relaxing. Yeah, a lot of sports evolved to be soft. Poe is in here. Poe, I know Poe is one of those dudes that don't really like it. He don't really like the he don't really like the YouTube boxing scene, right? He think it's too it's like tainting the sport. But hey, man, come on, man. It's helping the sport too, man. You think Ryan versus Tank would have done 1.2 million if it wasn't for like this whole thing with YouTube boxing and the Paul brothers and all this stuff and KSI? You think it would have done that much? You think Ryan would have siphoned that many viewers and social media followers if it wasn't for him doing collaborations with these guys? I don't know. I don't think so. Old school boxing, correct, it evolves. There's a lot of marketing going on in channels that have a younger crowd too. Yeah, 100%. Boxing was dying because of poor promotions. But the thing is, they needed something to spark interest, right? And they didn't have anything until that whole YouTube boxing thing that started to spark an interest. I mean, there was like 10 million views. I think it was like, was it 10 million views? I forget how many. They were in the millions when it was YouTube pay-per-view. When it was like a YouTube, you had to purchase it or whatever. And it was KSI versus Logan Paul, the first amateur fight they had. And it was like, you could see the views and it was up there. It was in the millions. So and it wasn't that much money. I think it was like $5 or something like that. But they created some type of a buzz there, man. They definitely created some type of a buzz. Bro, like 50. 100. I see Nate Diaz as a better boxer than Tyron Woodley, but not as good as Anderson Silva. Okay, all right. I think Jake, especially now that he's back with Shane Mosley's going to stop Nate inside 5. Okay, let's see. He might. He definitely might. This one is a little bit tricky, but I think he may have the tools or may have enough power and like fortitude to go ahead and beat him. But we'll have to wait and see. You saw Canelo's entrance. That man is a god in Mexico. Yo, yeah, I saw the entrance. Was crazy. That was like one of them Anthony Joshua entrances that he did. When Canelo was 18, he was still fighting unknowns for in Mexico, 2008, 2009. So that's probably isn't true. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He was super young. I wouldn't see Floyd doing that when Canelo was basically unknown to the U.S. audience. Yeah, same. Rivera, 84, even though he might get a warning, I see Diaz slapping Paul at least once. You see him slapping him at least once in the sense of during the boxing fight or during the build-up to the boxing fight? A.K. Rivera, 84. By the way, thank you for coming in here, brother. You see him slapping him during the press conference, or you see him slapping him during the actual fight? Hold up, let's check something out real quick. I got it loaded up. I actually forgot about it. I have it loaded up over here. Hold on. Let me pull this up here. Let's look at the courtesy of the Mac Life. Let's go ahead and look at this little press conference real quick. Let's switch over on our end to YouTube videos. Here we go. Let's take a look at this real quick. I think I got the audio on. Look at this weirdness that happened at the end, man. Like, what the heck?
When Nikisa Badarian to square the fighters off. And again, you're getting a code 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. You can get your tickets for this massive event on August 5th in Dallas, Texas. All right, guys, here we go. Jake Paul, Nathan Diaz, and there's Zach Rosenfield, also of Real Fight Inc.
There's only 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. All right, so what the heck? Did Nate just say chill? Did Nate Diaz just say chill, like chill? Like that sound like he literally was like, yo, like he was like playing with him, and then he got slapped in his arm, son, and he's like, yo, chill, stop playing, man. Stop playing. And then that's when Jake Paul was like, "Oh, okay, I'll stop doing that if you don't want me to if you don't want me to do it, like I'll stop. I find that to be I find that to be such a bizarre like thing to do during a like, it looked playful, but it's even hard to explain. I've never seen anything kind of like this, to be honest. Like, this actually kind of reminds me of like when Tank did this to I think it was Hector Garcia, and they were kind of like doing this kind of stuff like this. But I feel like Jake always does something that someone else did at a press conference. Like he is like he does an homage to what other people, like he did the Conor McGregor thing where he's yelling with his eyes wide open, and now he's doing the whole tapping or whatever. But the way it looks here, I've never seen it done like this before. See, he did say chill. I'm not bugging. He did say chill. I'm trying to see if Jake is worried or...
Thank you very much, guys. Again, DAZN pay-per-view, August 5th.
Because Nate Diaz is a little bit of a loose cannon, right? Nate Diaz is a little bit of a loose cannon. Paul with the Philly shell stance. Did he put on the Philly shell stance? Let me see. I didn't even pay attention to that, man. Nah, he's not doing the Philly shell. Oh, at the end. Yeah,
August 5th.
He did it at the end.
DAZN pay-per-view, August 5th.
But that was bizarre. Let's switch over real quick. That was weird. Or like what the hell? What was that all about? What was that all about? I find that to be strange, but I think maybe it's just honestly, I think Jake Paul felt a little bit weird standing there with Nate Diaz, because I think Nate Diaz in his mind, he's like, yo, Nate Diaz is a loose cannon, man. So I'm not gonna just sit here and give myself my face to this man, and then out of nowhere he just cracked me with something, right? So I think in his mind he was like, the moment he saw Nate do something, he's like, all right, let me create some distance from him, because I'm not trying to get caught right here in this press conference. So let me create some distance from him, because yo, Nate Diaz was out here like fighting Logan Paul lookalikes, man. He was choking out Logan Paul lookalikes. So, which by the way, Nate Diaz still thinks that was actually Logan Paul. He actually thinks that Logan Paul came up to him, and that's the reason why. That's the reason why he choked him out. He actually believed that Logan Paul was the person that was coming to him in that street fight. Because when they asked him, hey, why'd you do that, whatever, he was like, bro, it was Logan Paul, bro. I know it was Logan Paul. and Jake Paul is like, bro, you really thought it was Logan? And he's like, it was, man, it was him. I'm telling you, it was him. I saw it with my own eyes. It's like, bro, we already got the video. Everybody already knows. Like, the dude came out with a video saying, like, bro, I'm not Logan Paul, bro. I just look like him. I'm a Logan Paul lookalike. I remember people freaking out when Conor landed that rear uppercut on Floyd in round 2, as if Floyd was somehow rocked. Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Floyd fought not at a high level, right? I think he made it. He purposely made it entertaining. That's my opinion. But also, Conor McGregor is kind of like awkward, right? Because he's not like this traditional boxer, although he has a boxing background, which was his discipline. His discipline was actually boxing when he went into MMA, but he's still kind of like, there's an awkwardness to him, right? Weird angles, weird punches, like those things throw you off, especially when you've boxed for so many years. Believe it or not, boxers who are very skilled in the sport, they don't necessarily like fighting people who are very amateurish or rookie. You know why, right? It's harder to predict what they're going to do. It's easier to predict what another boxer with a boxing background is going to do. It's easier to predict how they're going to punch. They're going to throw 1-2s and stuff. They're going to do things that make sense, that are the safest thing for you to do, or things that would land at a higher percentage, right? You're going to be using a jab a lot. You're going to throw with this hand and alternate with this hand. They're going to do stuff like that. But somebody who's a person who's a street fighter, or like doesn't really know much about boxing, and they're kind of wild, they're going to throw whatever. They're going to throw like hooks and come at you with hooks, and then you're like, yeah, you're gonna be able to see it and do things, but you're also kind of like, yo, what? Like, I don't really know exactly what's happening. Even when Logan Paul was like throwing these hooks, like these crazy horrible hooks at Floyd Mayweather didn't like dodge them or whatever. He turtled up until he got tired, because he realized like, this guy's just gonna, like, he's gonna do these wild things that I'm not gonna really be able to get used to until I see the wildness first. Like, I need to see how wild he is before I can start shutting everything down. So there's a danger to fighting somebody who's wild or whatever. Granted, the chances are really low that they're going to do anything to you, but this is boxing. You could get caught one punch and that, it could be all she wrote. So there is something to be said about that wildness there. So in my opinion, I feel like when it came to the whole Conor McGregor situation, because he was wild, because he was kind of like weird, that helped him a little bit against Floyd Mayweather. But once you, even if, no matter how wild you are, there are things that you like to do. There are tendencies that you have. And then Floyd will eventually be a good boxer, not just Floyd, but just even a good boxer would, over time, over a few rounds, figure out what your speed is, when you like to punch, what kind of punches you like to throw, and the well that you go back to throughout the fight, and then they'll be able to pick you apart, which is what happened with Logan Paul. Same thing with Conor McGregor. But when you're more technically sound, they could kind of predict. It's weird, but they could predict earlier on what you're gonna do, because this is what they see day in and day out when they're sparring. They see this more than they see the wild stuff. That's the reason why that works in that way. True, Ryan always talked about how Jake came to collab with him when Ryan was way less popular than he is now. Exactly. And why do you think Jake had any incentive? See, the only reason that Jake even cared to collaborate with Ryan Garcia before Ryan Garcia had 1 million subscribers on YouTube, the only reason was because Jake was entering the boxing market. And what Jake wanted out of Ryan is validation towards the boxing community, within the boxing community. So they both brought something to the table. Jake brought he brought his audience. So that's a mutually beneficial thing for both of them. Ryan got to kind of connect himself to that young audience, and Jake got like himself more edified within the boxing community. Oh, this is a real boxer. This is an actual boxer that is doing social media stuff, and I'm collaborating with him. And look at both of us being boxers together or whatever, and that helped his platform. But at the same time, that also elevated Ryan Garcia and gave like those young viewers that like these YouTube boxing stuff and like all these different things regarding boxing within the YouTube world, look at Ryan Garcia as one of those other guys that they can look at and see and watch his fights and all that stuff. So that lended to Ryan Garcia's growth. That helped Ryan Garcia grow on social media. In the fight, because you can hit with open hand in boxing. Because you can't hit with open hand in boxing. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, you could argue that Joe Kawasaki used to hit people kind of slap like with the inside of his hand, but I mean, yeah, it's true. You can't, technically, you're not supposed to hit them with the inside part of your glove. You're supposed to hit them with the actual with the punch of the glove. So let's see, with the knuckle part of the glove. Jake did look quick with it. Not gonna lie. Yeah, he looked kind of, whatever. But we're gonna see. It looked like Nate wasn't doing much. He was just standing there. So we'll see when they're actually fighting. Paul with the Philly Shells stance. Oh, Did you say that twice? I probably missed it. Yeah, he said you're gonna try and say that wasn't Logan. You're gonna try and say that wasn't Logan. Oh yeah, that's what Nate Diaz was saying. He's like, yo, you're gonna try to say that wasn't Logan. Come on, man, that was him. I'm telling you, it was him. And it's funny because it's like he's not on social media like that, man, because we already know that it wasn't him. Like, we've seen the videos, and it clearly was not Logan Paul. But hey, listen, whatever, man. Like, let him keep thinking he choked out Logan Paul. The way I see it, Paul low-key was trying to give Diaz the floor. What you mean he was low-key trying to give Diaz the floor, A.K. Rivera? What do you mean by that? Like, when you say that? In that stare down or throughout the entire press conference? Nick Bassett, what's up? Fanatico, been watching your channel for a few years. I love the new live videos talking about boxing in real life. Thank you so much, Nick Bassett. Thank you. By the way, we're not going to stop talking about boxing video games on here. Obviously, we can't talk about Undisputed, but if new boxing video games come out, we're still doing videos on this channel because contractually, I don't have any restrictions from talking about other boxing video games. So even if, for example, Fight Night Champions 2 comes out, I could talk about it. You know, if Love C. Shorty's video game comes out, Bloody Knuckle Street Boxing, I could play it on here. I could talk about it. I could do all that stuff. So I could still talk about boxing video games. But in the meantime, you know, we're going for the most part, it's going to be until there's some type of news that's substantial, like Fight Night Champions 2 or whatever, we're going to be talking about, you know, in real life boxing. And even if when that comes out, we're still going to be doing in real life boxing. Those are going to be like just, you know, videos that happen when there's actual news to talk about those kind of things. But for now, we're going to be in real life boxing. So what are my thoughts on Jake Paul? Battle Rap Shorts, salute. Thank you, brother. What are my thoughts on Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, and who do I think is going to win? I truly think that Jake Paul will be able to beat Nate Diaz come this fight. Now, these predictions are always super difficult to make. They're super difficult to make. And the reason that they're super difficult to make is because they're, excuse me, they're super difficult to make because, oh my God, this thing really got me burping like crazy. They're difficult to make because we don't really know exactly how they're going to play out, because we don't see Nate Diaz in a professional fight when it comes to boxing. Jake is relatively new to the sport still, even though he has all these years in there, but he's still relatively new to the sport. So these predictions are almost like a crapshoot. They're not based off of looking at the history of the person fighting to see if there's a age decline, to see if they're peaking, if they're in their primes, if how do they perform, their level of opposition. There's so many data points that I normally use to create predictions, and I can't really do that with this. This is more like, okay, Jake has fought someone like Tyron Woodley before. This is the closest that I could see kind of making an understanding of what he's going to do with Nate Diaz. Anderson Silva, same thing. Those two, I could put it in the bucket of how maybe Nate Diaz is. But still, I won't really know for sure because Nate Diaz, like Tyron Woodley, didn't really have a boxing background. So there was a lot of mistakes he was making. Anderson Silva didn't have a boxing background. So there was a lot of mistakes he was making. Even though he's really good, he learned quickly, but there were some mistakes he was making. Nate Diaz does have a boxing background. Maybe he don't make those mistakes that they make. Tyron Woodley was putting a lot of hands on Jake Paul the first time they fought, but now Jake Paul might be a little bit better because more time has passed and he completely decimated him in the second fight. So it's just one of those weird things, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, because I give hardline predictions, I say one is going to win over the other. I don't say like, hey, like, oh, I think they could both win if they both try their best. I don't do that. My predictions are like, they're literally picking one fighter over the other. So with my understanding of what Jake Paul was able to do with Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz, being somewhat on the decline, even within the MMA sport itself, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think Jake Paul wins this fight. I don't know for sure if he knocks him out. I think he might be able to do that. He has a good right hand in terms of if it lands. He doesn't set it up that well all the time, but sometimes he does. And if he does land that, I think it might be good night for Nate Diaz. So that's my prediction. Jake Paul wins. If I had to say, I think he would probably knock him out by the 5th round. I will have to go with the 5th round. I don't know how many rounds this fight is going to be. I think it might be 8 rounds, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is my prediction for Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. I have Jake Paul winning. That is the official Boxing Fanatico prediction that is coming from this episode. I'd love to see you make a video that breaks down basics of boxing 101, like fighting for lead foot, center line, setup, etc. I bet tons of people would enjoy that, like a boxing appreciation vid. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember I started this channel and I would talk about things that I felt that a casual fan would have trouble understanding and make it harder for them to like the sport. One of the first videos I made was how boxing fights are scored, because I knew that a lot of casual fans didn't really understand the premise of it. Like, they didn't get it. Like, I remember when Andre Ward fought Kovalev, and there were some casual bleed into that, and they were like, how did he lose if he knocked Andre Ward down in the 2nd round? That doesn't make any sense. Andre Ward never knocked him down. So then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to make a video about how boxing fights are scored. So, I went down like the history of that stuff, and I explained all that stuff. I also made a video on the rules of boxing, which was also a way to open the doors to fans that were peeking in and wanting to know more about boxing, but were a little worried about the fact that they didn't know about all these things. They didn't understand the rules of boxing, right? So I broke down the rules of boxing, and I also broke down how fights are scored. And those videos are still up on my channel. They're one of the first videos that I've put up when I started this channel back in 2016. Fanatico, do you think Jake is fighting Nate Diaz to get his confidence back before a rematch with Tommy Fury? A rematch with Tommy Fury sounds real wild. I don't know if Jake will do that. I think Jake losing to Tommy Fury is a good way for Jake to not have to necessarily keep doing that step up, and he could keep fighting. Like, for example, him beating Nate Diaz, there could be a natural move to fighting KSI after this, or they could be a natural move to fighting Conor McGregor, right? And it'll be much more accepted. If he was to be fighting Nate Diaz now without having to have fought Tommy Fury, people would just continue to use the excuse, fight a real boxer. But now that he has fought a real boxer, him fighting Nate Diaz is okay, because it's like he fought a real boxer, he lost to a real boxer, and now he's fighting Nate Diaz. We get it. Nate Diaz might be one of the better MMA people to give him trouble. So I feel like this makes sense. The way this is moving makes sense. And that makes me also believe that maybe there isn't a thing for him to want to fight Tommy Fury again in a rematch. Like, maybe to him is like, why fight him in a rematch if that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I've already done the thing of fighting a real boxer. I fought Tommy Fury and I lost, but I could probably just keep it pushing. One thing with that fight is that for the most part, Tommy Fury completely controlled that fight. I can't see Jake doing much things differently if they were to run it back, which to me means that Tommy Fury, I think in Jake's mind, he knows like that was a reality check for him. And I think he knows like, okay, I might not be at that level just yet. And since I've already done what people said I was too scared to do, maybe I could keep going in this route, fighting a Nate Diaz, fighting a Conor McGregor, and then maybe eventually fighting a KSI. I think that's the path that he's going. I don't think that he's using this to build his confidence. He definitely needs a win though. If he gets 2 losses in a row, that's going to be very detrimental. So he definitely needs a win versus Nate Diaz. I think Nate Diaz is the perfect person to fight in this situation, because this could go his way, right? It is a person who has some popularity behind him. It is a person who creates all of that kind of drama, right? And people know who he is, so he could get a good pay-per-view number from this, and then at the same time he could get a win from it, and it could kind of help him get back into the winner circle after his loss. AK Rivera 84, Paul was trying to feed off of Diaz's crazy antics, but Diaz didn't react at all, so it threw Jake off a bit. That's why things fell flat at the end. Yeah. It was wacky. It was such a wacky press conference through and through, man. It was just like a wacky overall situation. And it was probably because of what you're saying. Yeah, like Diaz was too like disconnected from the situation. I mean, the dude went to the bathroom in the middle of the press conference. He went to the bathroom in the middle of the press conference, which, like I said, to me just gives me a vibe of he doesn't think that this is he doesn't take this seriously. He doesn't respect the whole thing, but he knows that he's going to get paid. And if he's going to get paid, fine, he'll take it, and and at the same time, he can beat up Jake Paul. So to him, he just thinks that, this is just whatever. This is a job. Like, he's just punching in, basically. Like, he doesn't want to be there, but heck, the money's good. I'm gonna just punch in, and I'm gonna beat this dude up, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. That's the vibe that I'm getting from the way that he's reacting in this press conference, the way he acted in this press conference. Yeah, definitely. I think a ton of casuals don't understand that sort of thing, scoring, or even what's happening technically when someone's getting dropped a rock. Yeah, there's a lot of videos that I've done breakdowns on, right? Like, I've done breakdowns on Ryan Garcia. I've done breakdowns on Shakur Stevenson. I've done breakdowns on even Jake Paul when he's brand new, right? I've done breakdowns on a few fighters where I talk about some of the strategies that they're applying during the fight. So, I mean, if you want, it's all there. I think I did it not too long ago for these guys, for the Shakurs, and I think maybe I have the videos up in 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there. True, the Tommy rematch is going to have to wait a while. Yeah, 100%. He's going to have to really get, real confident and real sharp, much sharper than he is now before he could even think about going back to a Tommy Fury fight. I think he would definitely, if he has some stuff lined up he could do, right? If he does the counter fight, that makes sense. KSI fight, that makes sense. And then after that, I don't know what else makes sense, but he probably figure it out. Probably be another MMA fighter that's a possibility who could retire from the UFC and then fight Jake Paul. So there's a lot of opportunity. He doesn't necessarily have to go to Tommy Fury, in my opinion. Definitely not now or in the near future. Also, where do you think Paul goes from here if he gets KO'd by Diaz? KSI? Yeah. If Jake Paul loses to Diaz, the only logical thing is to fight KSI. If he loses to Diaz, the KSI fight still has an aura of you don't know who's going to win, right? Right now, it feels like Jake Paul would decimate KSI. But if he loses to Nate Diaz, that's 2 losses in a row. He has to fight KSI, because then KSI, it makes it more like, oh, this is my opportunity to get my win back, shut this whole thing down with the whole KSI even being in my league. And then, I also get the whole, the pay-per-views that come from it, because it'll be a big pay-per-view. Now, we don't know for sure if KSI is not in his league. We don't know 100% for sure, but I think for the most part, it does feel that way. But losing to Nate Diaz gives him, to me, that option. If he beats Nate Diaz, then he has more options opened up to him, like maybe fighting somebody like Conor McGregor, like I mentioned. But yeah, the KSI fight is always going to be hanging, always going to be in the cloud when it comes to Jake Paul and when it comes to KSI. It's kind of like the Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao thing. Even though they weren't fighting each other, that was the thing that people wanted to see. That was the thing that was always in the cloud. When will this fight happen? Oh, is it next after you just beat this guy? Are you going to fight Manny Pacquiao? You just beat that guy. Are you going to fight Floyd Mayweather? That was always kind of the thing. And I think him losing to Tommy Fury brings it into a realistic world. Had he beat Tommy Fury, it would be unrealistic to want him to fight KSI. But because he lost, it brings it closer. And if he loses to Nate Diaz, it'll bring it even closer. So much so, I think, that it will make it basically the next fight for Jake Paul. Rolly Romero fights Barroso this weekend. Who do you think wins that fight? Rolly Romero. I think Rolly wins that fight. Not saying that Rolly is a technical beast, but Rolly he does more things than people give him credit for. He does a little bit more things than people give him credit for. I think people make it seem like Rolly Romero don't know what he's doing at all times, and he's just like this weird, kind of goofy kind of fighter. But he says goofy things. He does goofy things, but he fights much better than people give him credit for. He's not great by any stretch of the imagination or like super skillful by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely better than what people say he is. Plus, Barroso, I don't think that he's gonna give Rolly much problems. Facts. All right, Terry Williams. I don't think Nate really takes this seriously at all. I think he is looking at this as a quick check with little to no risk. Yeah, that's the vibe that I got from that press conference 100%. And I think when KSI and Jake were talking about fighting each other, Nate was like, man, I'll pull out and let y'all two fight each other. Like, it's almost like Nate really doesn't care about this. Like, he really is looking at this as just a paycheck. That's why he went to the bathroom in the middle of the press conference. Speaking of KSI, did you hear about the Misfits boxing game that's rumored? Yes, I did. That's an interesting thing. They said, what did they say? I think today they said something. It stated that they're looking to release it within 15 months. That's a tough thing to do. I'm not sure if they'll be able to pull that off, but let's see. And if they do make a boxing game, and if it has good boxing elements in it, we're going to be playing it on this channel. We're going to be talking about it on this channel. So I'm interested. I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. And as soon as they put out some information, I'm definitely going to be looking towards that. Like, hey, what's going on over here? Let me see. Let me play. Let me whatever. I'm interested. Like, even though it's not going to be boxers, if you guys remember my video that I made a long time ago before we even saw anything for like any of like the boxing games that has released now or has come out like Undisputed, I stated that I want to have a boxing game to play. I don't necessarily care if they have the new superstars in it, because that was always a point of contention for even making a boxing game. So I had already mentally checked out of even caring about having, stars in a boxing game, as long as I could just get a boxing game. Like, if you could just make a boxing game and put fake fighters in it, I would play with the fake fighters, as long as you cared about the elements of the sport and made it as detailed as possible. It'll be fun to me. I'll create myself and play with myself as the character in the game, and I'll be fine. So I was never oh, you have to have stars or whatever. Now, once that was given to us, like, oh my goodness, somebody was able to make the game and do that, fine. But generally speaking, to me, it was like, that's never been a big thing to me. So I'll play with Salt Poppy if I have to, and have fun in a game that has a good mechanics in it. So we'll just have to wait and see though. The KSI fight is such easy work in my opinion, but KSI has shown some signs of improvement each fight, so we'll see how he performs Saturday. Yeah, but the thing is, KSI throws one punch. He has to stop throwing this one looping right hand. That's all. It's like his favorite thing, the looping right hand. He'll throw it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. He won't even set it up with a jab. He won't even set it up with a feint. He won't even set it up with an angle. He won't even set it up with a distance control. He won't set it up with nothing. He just throws it. And yeah, he gets wild too at points. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man. I don't know, man. I think, like I said, Jake losing to Tommy was the best case scenario, because it opened up the floor for the amount of opponents that he could fight that are realistic and that are beatable for Jake Paul, but will have interest. There wouldn't be interest in fighting KSI if he beat Tommy Fury. Imagine he beat Tommy Fury. Who in the world would think that KSI would have a chance of beating him? So, yo, AP, whatever, what's going on, y'all? I was busy today again, just popping in to say what's up. Hey, no problem, brother, no problem. And welcome. Even though we're about to end in 1 minute, but welcome, brother, welcome. Yo, on the real though, is Beach Plum the best sparkling water or what? Yes, it is. This is literally the best in my opinion, and I'm not sponsored by LaCroix by any at all, but this is the best seltzer water flavor that I've ever tasted, and I like seltzer water. Like, I really do. Like, I really like seltzer water. This is the best one right here. Beach Plum. So you could say that I'm a seltzer water, carbonated water connoisseur, right? I know my carbonated waters, right? I've tasted them all, and I think that this one is the best one. Waterloo had that spiced apple on one last fall, and that was super good. Now, I've tasted that one too, but nothing holds a candle on Beach Plum. Beach Plum is literally the best tasting one, period. Trust me, if you guys even slightly like sparkling water, once you taste Beach Plum, you're gonna be like, how in the world? And this is not even with artificial sweetener. This is just naturally essenced, right? So, like, and by naturally essenced is basically like they take all the fruits, they heat them up below the water, and then they let the vapors go into the water, and then they carbonate the water, and then they seal it. So, I mean, I'm telling you, it's delicious. It's delicious. I'm with that. I'm with it. That's my go-to flavor for LaCroix. LaCroix for sure. Orange vanilla is good too. I've tasted orange vanilla. I'm not a fan, but Beach Plum is definitely one of my favorites. If not, no, actually, it is my favorite. It's not even one. It is my favorite. I've had LaCroix before. It's better than bubbly. 100%. It is better than bubbly in my opinion. I should try to put a team together and create a boxing game myself. Hugh Jakes. Oh, hey, listen. I won't be mad at it. I won't be mad at it. I work for the number 3 best game engine on the market. I definitely have the tools. It would be a big decision to make, though. Yeah, you have to put a whole thing together. It's definitely not going to be easy thing to do, but it will be much appreciated by the video game boxing community if you do that, because the more, the merrier. Please. If you can, if you have the resources to do it, I would love for you to do that. Terry Williams, I almost prefer a boxing game with fake fighters. I find myself being crazy loyal, just sticking to my guys. I find myself only playing with Roy and Bud and Undisputed. Yeah, I mean, those, you know, it has its pros and cons, right? It has its pros and cons. It's cool it's like if you're playing NBA 2K, you know, you want to play with the basketball teams that you know and love or whatever. But really, with a boxing game, is like sometimes I just want to box, right? I just want to box, so I don't mind if somebody makes a boxing game without stars. But how much will that sell, right? I might be a super minority in that scenario, so we'll have to wait and see if somebody's ever pulled that out. Can't wait for Haney versus Loma. That's my most anticipated fight that's been made, is that fight right there, Haney versus Loma. Can't wait as well. We passed the mark by 2 minutes, guys, so we're going to have to go ahead and end it here. 30-0. What's 30-0? Who's 30-0? Anyways, we're gonna have to go ahead and end it here. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up. Talking about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. The prediction was made. Jake Paul will win this fight when it takes place, and I think he might do it with a knockout. Oh, you're talking about Haney when he beats Loma. Okay, I see. I haven't made my prediction on that just yet. Mess with you heavy, my boy. Thank you, AP. Whatever. You know, I know you're out, but I bet you never had the Jelly Belly sparkling water. Haha, probably not. I probably haven't. I don't recall that at all, so you might be right. All right, great stream. Peace. I'll be here tomorrow, my word. No worries, brother. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, talking all things boxing, where we can talk about boxing in real life. Come hang out. You already know what it is here at the Boxing of Fanatico Live episodes. We just be having a blast. All right, man. See you later, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.